What's going on, everyone? So, the New Orleans Pelicans and the Toronto Raptors have made a trade. The Toronto Raptors have landed Brandon Ingram, which I think is a really good pickup for them. Should fit in really nicely next to Quickly and RJ Barrett and stuff and kind of give them that guy. Toronto really wants to be a good team. They really want to be a competent basketball team. But the trade looks like the New Orleans Pelicans, this is per Shams, the New Orleans Pelicans have traded Brandon Ingram to the Toronto Raptors for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and one first-round pick along with one second-round pick. I really think that this is just a solid pickup from both sides, if I'm being honest. Obviously, the Pelicans, they're bad. The season's kind of been in disarray. But they get a guy in Bruce Brown who can kind of fill the void for DeJounte Murray. Obviously, he's not DeJounte Murray, but DeJounte Murray going down for the season with an Achilles injury, right? Kind of give you that center to kind of plug in and just be a key piece for you out there. It can be some defense, stuff like that. Maybe you can look to flip him or re-sign him in the offseason. He is a free agent. He's not going to make $22+ million. I do think he'll probably go elsewhere, if I'm being honest, but we'll see. Time will tell. But got that. And then you got a guy in Kelly Olynyk, just a serviceable, solid, just kind of big man, versatile, play the 4, play the 5, stretch the floor a little bit, right? It's more so about the assets, but it also gives you pieces that kind of get through the season, right? It gives you pieces that kind of, obviously I don't think that they want to make a huge push or anything like that. But I do think that this is something that could really kind of, again, just give them some assets and keep them afloat. But as far as the Brandon Ingram side of things, particularly to the Toronto Raptors, I do think that this really helps the Toronto Raptors because, again, they're a team that wants to be competitive. You're losing Bruce Brown and everything anyway. I would imagine that they're going to pay Brandon Ingram because they gave up a first and a second, right? Losing Kelly Olynyk, losing Bruce Brown, that's nothing, right? Because they were probably going to lose those guys anyway. But to give up that first and to give up a second, you got to imagine that they're planning on giving Brandon. But the problem is he wants $40+ million. However, Toronto isn't this ideal free agency destination, right? They're not a place that stars are lining up to go to. So to get a guy like Brandon, you're probably going to have to overpay a little bit. And if it wasn't for the new CBA, he probably would be getting $40+ million. But I think on the new CBA, you're probably looking, you ideally want him around 25-30 million. But now you got good size. So now you got Emmanuel Quickly, you got RJ Barrett, you got Brandon Ingram, you got Scotty Barnes, and you got Jakob Poeltl. That's a very good starting five. Very good starting five. Toronto's a little bit behind the 8 ball this year, right? So that could pose a little bit of issues for them. I don't think that they're just going to magically be able to, make a blitz and be a contending team. But they're going to be very good defensively. I think they're going to be very switchable. They got multiple guys that can just take over. Scotty Barnes is a guy that really is starting to come into his own and just really fun to watch him play, really fun to watch the things that he does on the basketball court. But you look at Toronto right now, they are, the East is so bad. They're only 4.5 games back of the final play-in spot at the 10th seed. But realistically, they're probably not making the play-in this year. I think this was more of a move of okay, we got our starting five, right? We got our guys now. We got our core, kind of get through this year, build chemistry, kind of get whatever we need to get, maybe look in the offseason to kind of upgrade and trim around the edges and then go try to make a push here, right? Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl, again, is a very good starting five that really just kind of gives you, again, that versatility. You got Quickly, Barrett, Ingram, Scotty Barnes. All 4 guys could give you 20+ a night. So you got multiple guys that could beat you in multiple different ways. You got that big defensive, versatile center that can just body people up and just be a real interior presence, be a real physical center on the inside. You got multiple versatile, switchable wings and stuff. I think that this is probably about as good as they're going to get. I mean, if we're being honest, right? Again, they're not this super big free agent destination. The main issue though is with Brandon Ingram. Can he stay healthy? Right? That's been his biggest problem is he just can't consistently stay out on the basketball court. And if you're the Raptors, you're taking a risk, right? This is a bit of we need this to work out because then you just wasted a first and a second to go get a guy that is giving you 30 games a season. Now, I do imagine he's going to be back sooner rather than later, right? I don't think he's going to miss much more time, right? He's in the range to when he was expected to be back, but I imagine Toronto or the Pelicans have kind of been patient on bringing him back. But to kind of just go over Brandon Ingram, the most games he's ever played in a season was 79 games, and that was his rookie year. Since then, he's played 59 games, 52 games, 62 games, 61 games, 55 games, 45 games, 64, and 18 this year. The second most games since his rookie season was 64, which was last year. Not great, right? I mean, if he's playing 65 games a season and healthy come playoff time, then fine, you can live with that, right? That's why the NBA made the threshold 65 games, because that's basically the average, right? But if he's playing 55 games and, questionable for the playoffs, stuff like that. But also, you got to keep in mind, in his defense, the last few years in particular, he's been on a team where it's just been decimated with injuries. Also, how much of it is just like the Pelicans? Like, they're just I don't know if it really is cursed or it's just like they just have a terrible training staff or what. But, guys just can't seem to stay healthy in New Orleans. Right? Like, ever since Anthony Davis left, they just cannot stay healthy. And I mean, even Anthony Davis, right? Like, got, street clothes and all that stuff. So maybe Brandon Ingram going to Toronto, maybe he's a guy that can kind of, just be healthier for the next few years. Again, I'm not saying he has to play all 82 games or anything like that, but you got to be at least giving your team, 65 to 70. Right? Everyone misses games here and there. It's fine. It's part of the deal. But you got to at least play enough to give your team a chance. Right? But it also doesn't help when he's literally at times had to do everything for the Pelicans and completely carry that team. And some of the injuries have just been freak accidents. Like the recent injury that he had with the Pelicans, just kind of like one of those freak accident things. It wasn't really anyone's fault. It was just kind of just wrong place, wrong time type of deal. But, look, he's a guy, go give you 23, 5, and 5, right? You look at this year, 33 minutes, 18.5 field goal attempts, 46.5% from the floor, 37.5% from three on 6.4 attempts. 51.4% from the floor, 53% EFG, 85.5% from the free throw line, from 3.1 attempts, almost 6 rebounds, 5.6. So 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, a steal, a block, and 22 points per game. Right? It's great. It's great. Again, the Raptors could use that. Right, so they get a guy. Pelicans, they win. They get a couple pieces that maybe they could look to move elsewhere or do some other things with, or maybe they buy them out or whatever. We'll see what they do. But it's obviously this is more about the assets. You got the first that you wanted for Brandon Ingram. You got the pick. You got a second, right? I thought you got the ass more than I thought. I didn't necessarily think a team would actually give up a first, but they did. Good on them. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think of the move? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think the Pelicans won? Do you think that the Raptors won? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, let me know. I'd love to hear it. So down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.